everyone, Scotty White, World Combat Sports, man. You know what it is. I'm here to give you that catch-weight media. Check this out. We had a fight night this weekend. PBC put on an outstanding card. Salute to them. They did the damn thing. I want to talk about some of the matchups that actually took place. Chris Colbert, undefeated rising contender in the sport of boxing, who went in there and finished his opponent, Miguel Beltran, in the first round. Touched him up with a jab, left it out there, touched him again with a jab, and then came over with the right. The one important part to talk about this young star is he used to be Lil B-Hop, and he changed his name to Prime Time. Why am I starting this off? Because Deion Sanders, the way he performed when the cameras was on him was absolutely phenomenal. A legend in the sport of football. When it comes to somebody like Chris Colbert changing his name to Prime Time, you had to understand that he was willing to undertake such a prestigious label as the one and only Prime Time Deion Sanders. So I want to give a salute to him for his knockout victory, man. He looks sharp. I had the chance to speak to him when I was in Newark. Very cool cat, not lacking confidence, and you got to give it up. You know, he pretty much has his mind set on the persona that he's going to show for the viewing audience in attendance. So congrats to that win, man, and I like the new style, you know, that you're rocking, representing the one and only Deion Sanders out of the ATL. Let's talk about Thomas Dulorme and Terrell Williams. A lot of energy was leading up to this fight because of the backstory of Terrell Williams. We know what it is. You watch boxing long enough, you understand where I'm coming from with this. Not so much Thomas Dulorme. You know, he was coming off a loss to Yadinas Ugas, and then he came in here and had a draw with Jesse Vargas and stepped back in the square this past weekend. I want to touch bases as to the backstory to such a tragic interaction from a previous opponent that he was in the ring contending against. And that opponent is undefeated, the one and only Pritchard Colon. Salute to the warrior. If you don't know already, let me brief you, okay? Let me take you back a little bit. In 2015, October 17, they had a fight. Terrell Williams and Pritchard Colon. And both fighters answered the bell and had their minds set up that it was going to be a pretty physical encounter. And it was. You know, Terrell Williams was rapid punching behind the head. There was some dirty boxing. And in retaliation and retribution, the avenging of that, Pritchard Colon landed a low blow. Joseph Cooper, the referee in charge that day, what did he do? He deducted 2 points from Pritchard Colon from retaliating. You know what I'm saying? If you look at the fight, that's what it was, man. It sometimes happened in the sport of boxing. As the fight went along, and it was getting very entertaining, competitive, both fighters at that moment, midway to the fight, they could have justifiably been disqualified. But at that 8th or 9th round, Pritchard Colon turned his back. Terrell Williams kept sending it. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, he hit Pritchard Colon in the back of the head, which is the reason why that particular shot is illegal and not an official strike that you may use in the sport of boxing. It does damage, cause lives to be altered forever. And that's exactly what happened to undefeated star Pritchard Colon. On the scorecards, he was ahead, but that would be his last fight of his career, and that with Terrell Williams. Once he rose from the canvas, he was pretty much explaining to the referee that I'm not feeling well, I feel a little dizzy. And Joseph Cooper kind of took it lightly, vilifying the fact that the seriousness wasn't as what he was making it. I guess because both fighters were going back and forth with dirty tactics. Wrong decision. It was absolutely tragic. Because after the fight, Pritchard Colon went back to the dressing room, felt dizzy and everything, and he collapsed. He had to be rushed to the hospital, and they performed emergency surgery. He had bleeding on the brain. And we all know the residual effect of his story. He is still in absolute recovery to this day, trying to return back to the normality for which he once had as a fighter. It destroyed his life. That punch in the back of the head, along with some other, damage that he took, we truly don't know the extent from the inception to the conclusion, but it affected him to the point where he's still in recovery, trying to regain his functionality, his awareness, his competence. So, salute to Pritchard Colon. But, his attachment to Terrell Williams, that's what it was. A lot of people was on the thread. I did my fight night. I seen a lot of comments on the thread basically talking about that moment. And understandably so. Boxing has had plenty of individuals that go through stuff in boxing. We've had our moments of life and death, of moments that we can look back upon and frown and be like, man, that was tough, that was bad, that was tragic, that was disastrous, and that was one of those moments. Now, the crater that's been in Terrell Williams' career is that. I'm pretty sure during the 2 years following that bout, when he was out of the sport of boxing, I can't imagine the vilification that he received. Then also, it's some other people that took a little bit of criticism because they kind of downplayed how Pritchard Colon was actually feeling, the severity when he was in the moment. They criticized Sugar Ray Leonard for actually saying that he thought Pritchard Colon turned his head into the punch. With all of that said, it was all converged on that night when he stepped in there against Dulorme. Undefeated, Dulorme had two losses, I believe, and he ended up losing that bout. Well-contested, competitive fight between both of these guys, and Dulorme was able to pull out a victory over Terrell Williams. Now, of course, we did not see any type of retread or remediated dirty tactics from Terrell Williams that day. All right, this past weekend. It was pretty much a clean fight, but he was handed and dealt his first defeat from Thomas Dulorme. So I salute and congratulate him for that. But, to the build-up and for people and boxing fans that was tuned in, they absolutely was looking at that like, damn, I know the history with this. The crater that sits with Terrell Williams next to the volcano, it will always overflow that hot lava of criticism from people who actually revisit that. His name is attached to Pritchard Colon forever in life and in boxing. So he's still in the sport. He took them 2 years off, came back in 17. Then he fought again in 18 one time, and then he's fought twice this year. That was his second fight, and he suffered his first loss. So, hey, it's a tough sport, and my prayers and blessings go out to the man himself, Pritchard Colon, to continue to fight towards his recovery. Next, I want to talk about the fight of all fights, this fight card. The one where people was just like trying to understand what they was gonna get. What were we gonna get from Peter Chocolate Quillen, whose only loss was to Danny Jacobs? You know what I'm saying? Then you had Angulo, who's been in the battles of all battles. Tough, gritty, grimy, tenacious, savage. That's been Angulo's career. He is a pressure fighter. And when I heard that he was with Abel Sanchez, I said, what better trainer for him to be with for that Mexican style? Somehow, some way, he felt he needed Abel Sanchez to reinvigorate his promise as a fighter. You know what I'm saying? That is amazing. Because you look back at the James Kirkland fight, Angulo was stopped in the 6th round. I mean, what an amazing back and forth exchange. I'm talking about phone booth. We're talking about warfare, affliction. Then you look at Erislandy Lara and Canelo Alvarez. They both stopped Angulo in the 10th round. Angulo is known for taking punishment. That is what he is known for right now. No secret about it. So for him to go in here against a fighter who I believe that had better boxing units within the round to get the job done and get that victory was Peter Kid Chocolate Quillin. Like I said, he only had one defeat. So in the first round, I'm looking, I say, man, you know, Alfredo Angulo looks slow. He looks like, you know, that punishment he's been receiving through his boxing career has taken effect on him. And then the second round, he starts to turn it up. You know what I'm saying? He starts to get in the rhythm. The coordination is there. He started to get in the chest of Peter Quillin. I was like, shit. Third round, this a fight. His pressure, his demand for him to take punishment just to sit down and give you his, that is his mindset, and that is the authority for which he imposed on his opponents. And when I seen Quillin begin to break down, I saw his eyes glowering, trying to find out what the hell did I perceive this to be other than what I'm getting. He seemed unsure of what was going on. And Angulo was pressuring. He started to land on Quillin. He started catching with maybe about 6 body shots once he parked up against the ropes and he was able to get that work off. He was sending punches the entire fight. Now it was times that Quillin was able to go in there and land some nice counter uppercuts. You know what I'm saying? I didn't think he worked behind the jab enough and kept it on the bezel. You know what I'm saying? It could have been more active for a pressuring, predictable fighter as Alfredo Angulo. But we don't know. I mean, sometimes I look at Quillin's movement. I say, is he injured? How can he falter so much? He's the better boxer. But when you have a brawler and a punisher like Angulo, sometimes they can degrade a fighter quickly. And that's what we seen this past weekend against Peter Kid Chocolate Quillin. He was handed his second defeat. And Angulo went in there with a purpose, y'all. Angulo went in there with a purpose that he is never wavering from what we know him to be. This dude is a predator. That is what Alfredo Angulo is. He's a pressure fighter. He stays in your chest and he wants to get the message across. The way you look at him, it seems like he has that gladiator mask on. The way his eyes sit back in his head. The way he sits there and continue to pursue, seek out and destroy. That's exactly what he gave Peter Quillin. And you have to commend this guy. Whether it was something that was able to be inserted from Abel Sanchez, or he simply is at a point where he looked good stylistically against a fighter like Peter Quillin. That's all I can tell you. But what we do know, people, what we do know is this. He gave it to Peter Quillin. I would have stood up here and told anybody that Quillin's the better fighter. Boxer. Angulo's the better fighter. Angulo prevailed because of his pressure, consistency, and being able to land that punishment consistently and break down Peter Quillin to the point where it seemed like he was going to stop him. So I just wanted to put that out there, that I was overly impressed with that main event. It was late. You know, I did crack a little jokes. I was like, man, maybe he stayed up in the dressing room too long. He didn't know how late the main event was going to be. Maybe, you know, him and his team was off a little bit. We're warming him up. Who knows? But I can tell you who was happy. I can tell you who was quite elated. And that was Abel Sanchez. He was over there in the corner like, yeah, I don't have Triple G no more, but I've got a new team. Yeah, come on over here, Alfredo Angulo. Yeah. Somebody who I can just embed that Mexican style. Get nasty. Grimy. That's Angulo. He's an animal. And when I saw Abel Sanchez split the ropes and come in there post-fight, man, I'm telling you, man, he was gleaming. He was smiling, man. He was happy. His spirit was up because he seen a fighter go in there and somehow compete the way that he trains his fighters. You know what I'm saying? Something that he adored to insert that style in Gennady Golovkin for a period of time. So the star is shining bright. It's radiant over there in Abel Sanchez's camp right now with Angulo. So salute, man. That's what it is. I'm not going to spend too much time. I'm moving on. We got big and better things. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. World Combat Sports, Catchweight Media right here. If you don't know what it is, you'll find out. Let's talk about the big fight that's on the horizon this week. Shawn Porter. Showtime. Errol Spence Jr. Man down. Man down. Who is your pick? I'm going to tell you, I'm going to break this shit down for you. How important is it for somebody who only had a couple of defeats to someone with no defeats? Do I feel like Shawn Porter would be the one to hand Errol Spence his first defeat? No, not even. I know a lot of people, when we're dealing with the boxing community, they want to ride the fence and they want to say, well, Shawn Porter is this. He's going to be the perfect opponent for an aggressive fighter like Spence. But then I asked them to kind of balance that scale a little bit more. I'm like, shit, look at the fight he had with Adrian Granados, how tough he made it. Did you see the face-to-face when Errol Spence said, you know what, if you would have been in a fight with Mikey Garcia, you would have made it tough. You would have made it a brawl. You would have made it difficult. And I believe him. See, one thing is this. You look at the fight he had with Adrian Brown and he walked him. Absolutely. He walked him. It was a dominating performance, but he got dropped later on in the round, probably, in the fight, probably from complacency, right? He steps in there with Danny Garcia, used his ring IQ, great game plan, was able to box a little bit, and then when he chose to get inside and land some punches within Danny Garcia's range, smother him a little bit, he did it. But it wasn't overly Shawn Porter-esque, you know what I'm saying? He kind of used his brain to outthink Danny Garcia then, and he was successful in getting that vacant WBC title. All right? Then you got the one with Keith Thurman. He took punishment from Keith Thurman, never wavered, took the overhand right from Danny Garcia, flash knockdown from Adrian Broner, went in there and had a brawl for whatever reason with Adrian Granados, and then steps in there with Yardinas Ugas and want to fight on the outside and be less than entertaining. People, I can't make this up. Then you got Errol Spence. He knocked out Carlos Ocampo. Look, me and my son drove up there 12 hours to check out a fight that didn't even last half the first round. Carlos Ocampo did land a combination, then lights out from there. I was treated yellow beezy. It's on me, baby. You know what I'm saying? It was all good. Then we see the fight with Errol Spence and Lamont Peterson. Damn, he punished Lamont Peterson. Much respect, good dude, much respect, but Errol Spence punished him, period. Then you look at the fight with Kell Brook. We all know that was a fight where we saw the smirk. We saw the grimace in a way of the sneaky smile that Errol Spence had when he was ring walking. He went into that man's hometown and backyard and took that title from Kell Brook. He battled through the punishment he was getting. Now I know a lot of people, and I'm going to underline the casuals and the people that really don't follow the sport all the time. I know they were saying that Gennady Golovkin damaged Gennady Golovkin damaged Kell Brook, but that wasn't even the point. There's no way that you can say the right side somewhat affected what Errol Spence did on the left side. The fragmentation was from the reality and the punishment received that night from Errol Spence. He did what he had to do. He fought through the storm and he prevailed. He became IBF world champion. Now we have Shawn Porter, the WBC world champion. These two are this week will converge for a unification match in the welterweight division. And what better two competitive fighters to do that than these two. Yeah. What better two fighters to do it, to clash, to collide in California this weekend than Errol Spence Jr. and Shawn Porter? You know why I say that? Because they're both in their competitive state. They're both in their prime, so to speak. The edge is there. The equity of both fundamental, technically prowess, delegation of both fighters are respected from the boxing media. For them to come together and throw down. That's what we're looking for. So guess what? It's going down. And you know what's good about it? When we get a winner, I don't foresee it being a controversy like Gennady Golovkin and Canelo Alvarez. When we finally get a winner, it brings us closer, hopefully, for a fight between the winner and Terrence Bud Crawford. There's a lot is being said about Shawn Porter, but y'all have to understand, Shawn Porter isn't a knockout artist. Errol Spence isn't a knockout artist. So don't come up here talking that nonsense as if Shawn Porter's gonna go stop and be the first to do it with Errol Spence. Stop that nonsense. Don't do it. You're making yourself look foolish. Shawn Porter ain't stopping Errol Spence. Neither fighter a knockout artist. Neither one of them. But if I had to give the advantage and the nod to punching power, I would give it to Errol Spence. If I had to give the brawling manifestation, I would give it 50-50 to both fighters. Now, if we want to further dive into it and give a grade for once the fighters do close distance and clinch and work on the inside, who may have the better degrading ability of their opponent, in close, up close and personal, or what have you, who can do the, man, it's kind of 50-50, man. The real estate is pretty much divided if you're talking about fighting on the inside. You know what I'm saying? We know Errol Spence loves going to the body. We know Shawn Porter enjoys being chest to chest, head to head. He was born with a helmet. Then he used to be a football player. Shawn Porter probably was the only player out there without actual equipment, and he was just out there with his head. That's what he did. Shawn Porter's used to being chest to chest. That's what he do. But Errol Spence, his body attack is relentless. It's unwavering. And I'm pretty sure he's going to give it to Shawn Porter as such. Period. Period. Just process that. You got two fighters whose style clash perfectly. But let me break it to you though. It may become a chess match. It may get to the point, right, that we see in the first 5 rounds of the fight more than a filling out process than we would like. So therefore, when it comes down to it, it may be some minimal aggressive action. It may be somewhat minimal punch output in spurts and a lot of filling out, getting the timing down. Now, I can make my own assumptions now. I can say this right here. I can say Errol Spence is not that dude. I can see Shawn Porter being that dude to a point. After the way he looked against Yordenis Ugas and the way he fought Danny Garcia, okay? But I'm saying Errol Spence, if he sticks to the word that we've been hearing him say in the face-off, he said he's going to knock him out. He's going to take it to him. I can see him giving that Kell Brook energy to Shawn Porter. If Errol Spence gives Shawn Porter that Kell Brook energy and be relentless and stay on the goddamn aggression, push forward, don't care about nothing, only about what he's trying to delegate, it would be an interesting fight. Real talk, it'll be an interesting fight. It would absolutely be interesting. That's what we want as fight fans. We want this to be the one that lives up to all the expectations and hype. We want the Errol Spence and Shawn Porter to implode. We want that Independence Day to light up the boxing community. We want the media to go crazy that we got everything we wanted out of this fight. We want that fireworks like Deontay Wilder and freaking Luis Ortiz did in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. You know what I'm saying? We want to see that. We want to see the sparks. We want to see these fighters work through it. We want to see them pull out of that fighter levels they ain't never been in before. We want to see that type of action. And it's the potential to happen. Be honest, it's potentially the perfect two fighters to make that happen. Now, if by chance you all don't know who I'm going for, I'm going to tell you. I'm going for Errol Spence Jr. Point blank, hands down, I'm going for Errol Spence Jr. to win this by unanimous decision. I know he said his intent is to go in there and stop Shawn Porter. I just don't think it's going to happen, y'all. I don't think Errol Spence is going to stop Shawn Porter. Respectable beard, respectable chin, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, man. I give Shawn Porter respect for having a solid, durable, sustaining chin. Quite opposite from Anthony Joshua, Mir Khan. Yes. Anyway, when we get closer to the fight, I will be on here to talk to you, the fight fans, about these predictions once again. But my pick is Errol Spence. Now, I'm hoping that nothing crazy happened while they're over there doing open workouts and everything and working themselves up to the weigh-in. I hope it's all smooth. You know what I'm saying? No one gets sick. The weather's changing outside, but you know, California is pretty much like that all year round. So I'm hoping the ambience, you know what I'm saying? Everything just comes to the chi, the zen, and these two fighters put on the show for us. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm looking for. So if you want to know what I'm thinking, Errol Spence by unanimous decision. No, I don't see Errol Spence being the first one to stop. I don't foresee Shawn Porter being the first one to stop Errol Spence, and I don't see Errol Spence stopping Shawn Porter. I don't see it. What my predictions and what my assumption is, we already know. I hope them two would clash for 12 rounds, mano a mano, task for task, skill for skill. You know what I'm saying? Hand to hand. His affliction versus the other's affliction. Who has the stronger demand for the longer period of time? Past. Gone. Talk about it later. You have it from me. In closing, this is what it is. I want to say thank you to all the supporters that's been rocking with me from the ground up and continue to see the growth. I know there's been plenty of people out here that's been doing it longer than I have, but I'm not really concerned about that. But I'm telling you this, I'm not waiting 10 years for you all to understand the hard work and dedication. That's what it is. That's point blank period. So I appreciate the supporters that's been rolling and seeing World Combat Sports grow. And also, I want to recognize the ones who are absolutely against anything and what path I'm trying to go to. You're unimportant to me, and I'm not going to give you that much shine. So you continue to stay on the outskirts and do what you got to do, and I'm continue to drive the lane for which I steer very well. Understood. To the fighters, thank you for your support. Thank you for the interviews. I totally appreciate it. Continue to watch me work. And I'm going to be tuned in. And if you give me the opportunity to put the lens on you, I'm going to make sure it's the best that you get. You know what I'm saying? Quality is everything. But respect ultimately tops it all. Point blank. So y'all follow me at worldcombatsports.com. YouTube channel, World Combat Sports. Facebook page, group. Check me out. You know what I'm saying? Multifaceted, do what I gotta do, and thank you all who support me. I want to give a shout out to Stokes Promotion for being a true supporter. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate everything that y'all been doing. Thanks for allowing me on deck. Absolutely been a great experience, and look forward to the next. Salute.